So I work as a software developer, as I've probably said before. That's my day job. It's what I do with the majority of my time. And we have this process that we use to do our software development where we can take pieces of what we've changed and, quote, cherry pick them out of everything that's been changed so that we can push them to higher environments like our production environment. And that's really a beneficial and worthwhile thing that we can do in that situation. But lots of times, cherry picking is not nearly so beneficial a thing for you to do. I want to talk about the subject of cherry picking today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, and today is Sunday, the 24th of April of 2022. That would be the beginning of the Christian week for those of you who are interested. I want to welcome you here, whether it's on Rumble, the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page, which would be the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there, on kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com, on Minds, MINDS.com, on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group primarily there, on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, or wherever else you might be hearing or seeing me today. Again, the subject for today will be cherry picking, and I'm going to go ahead and go through my notes as usual in order to kind of give you a clue sort of what I'm trying to talk about today. If you've listened very often to my podcast, you'll know that I have a couple of pet peeves. One of them is how people treat one another in anonymous situations. An example would be when driving. Sometimes folks will act badly even when their persona is less hidden, like in a store or at a restaurant, right? The one thing I see common is a perspective that says I'm willing to obey or stick by this norm, rule, or law, but not that one. Put succinctly, many folks, myself included at times, I want to accentuate that I am certainly guilty of this, tend to cherry pick regarding what they're willing to do and who they're willing to be. Look, I get it. At times, it really doesn't make sense to do everything people are expecting you to do. So, for example, telling someone they can't cross the street where there's not a crosswalk when doing so would affect pretty much nobody, say on a totally empty street, can be really silly. That said, far too often people take a selfish approach where that way of doing things is concerned, instead of being careful and trying to look out for others as well. How many people have you seen regularly running completely red lights, often on left turns, when there are people who should be moving and have the, quote, right of way, end of quote? The temptation is always there. That's true for me as much as anyone, as I've said. Much of the time, though, it's really the right thing to do to refuse to give in to it. I understand. It can be easy to just keep going or doing something you shouldn't. In the long run, though, doing that sort of thing results in societal breakdown, whether you think so or not. Have you noticed more accidents on the roadways in the recent past? I sure have. Why do you suppose that's happening? Have you found it's harder to just shop without having to deal with people challenging you for space or trying to push in front of you in line? Again, it sure seems that way to me. I've said it before and I will do so again. You may be the big, strong young person today. You can rest assured, unless you die young, though, which I'm not urging or wanting for you, that you likely will not always be that person, be the big, strong person. A lot of the problem is cherry picking. That is, people deciding what rules, laws, and norms they will or won't follow. When you start down the path of lawlessness, even if you don't see it as lawlessness, chances are good you'll continue down it until the consequences are too great and force you to stop. I'm going to agree with an idea. Integrity and character are not what you do when people are watching or enforcing rules or whatever. They are what you do when nobody is doing so. Is it always wrong to cherry pick? No, but you should definitely do it sparingly and take care when you do. Okay, notes are done. Again, I really try to pack into my notes most of what I want to say about a given subject. Okay, I really do. So a lot of the time, when I'm done with my notes, you need to know I'm freewheeling through some ideas in my head that have come up when I do the notes. Well, today I'm a little scattered, so you're going to have to forgive me for that. But look, it's really kind of simple. When you cherry pick what you will accept, I have a family member, and I won't get into details on this too much, but basically who's decided that individual is going to take from various supposedly sacred and religious texts what they want. I'm carefully not using pronouns because I don't want to get too deep into who that is. But they basically are cherry picking out of various things like the Bible, the parts that they like and the parts that they want, and ignoring the parts that they don't. And the thing of it is this: if there's a God, then that God didn't, and they protect the work, the Bible in this case, that they created, then you saying I'm going to pick this piece and not pick that piece is dishonoring that God. Now, if you assume it's just a book, I guess you're okay, so long as you're right, so long as you're correct, which in my opinion you're not. The point, though, is really very simple. When you cherry pick things, a lot of times what you actually do is create more problems. And this is particularly true where things like the law and rules and norms and so forth are concerned. Among other things, what you do is you might convince other people, hey, it's okay for me to do this too. I can do the same thing too. And what will happen, or what may happen as a result, is those individuals may become even more lawless. And again, the thing about it is, as you get older, you may wise up, you may figure out what's good and right and what's not. Those people, if they're young, they watched you as you cherry-picked whatever it was that you were dealing with, and they learned from you and thought that that was okay. And part of what I'm trying to do right now is say this. Look, I did this silliness when I was a younger person. And I said this, I think it was yesterday. I said, look, you can call a person a hypocrite who was a smoker and tries to tell people not to smoke. But in reality, that person has been through the ringer on that. They've been there. They've dealt with that. And telling them that trying to get people to quit makes them a hypocrite. You may even be right. But the reality on that is, whether you're right or not, the truth is, what they're trying to do is maybe spare you a little bit of the agony of what they've gone through in life. When you get older, you begin to realize certain things. And one of them is, if you treat people badly, then you're going to have a bunch of people who are treated badly around you. That's how that's going to work. And they're not going to like it, so they're not going to necessarily treat you all that well. But more importantly, in a way, probably about equally importantly, is you're going to fall into the position that you maybe found those people in at some point. And when people treat you badly, you're going to realize what a terrible thing it was for you to have done that to others. And this is what I'm trying to get across. By the way, if you hear my son in the background, he's watching his shows and probably will make a little bit of noise here and there, so you'll have to forgive me for that. The point I'm making in all of this is, as a rule, if there are rules, if there are laws, if there are norms that are expected for you to uphold and maintain them, it's probably because people figured out that they were good ideas. Am I saying every law, every rule, every norm is good? No, I'm not saying that. It was a norm to have people in slavery at one point. Obviously, that wasn't a good thing, right? And I'm not trying to say that. But I am trying to say you should be extremely careful not to cherry pick out the things that you think will be beneficial to you and in the process harm other people. And I'm going to say something that I said again yesterday. If all you do in life is things that are easy and things that are to your benefit, you're probably not doing very much that's worth talking about, and probably people aren't going to think all that well of you in the course of time. This is sort of what I'm trying to get across today, though, is look, if you cherry pick out of what there is that needs to be done and said and so forth, what you like, and you don't do the rest, you should realize that probably you're not doing things that will be helpful for either yourself down the road or for others if you really think about it. Okay, I need to go ahead and begin to wrap things up here. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Sunday, the 24th of April of 2022, that beginning of the Christian week for a lot of folks. That means tomorrow will be Monday, the 25th of April of 2022. That will be the beginning of the work week for a lot of us who work the standard 9 to 5 Monday through Friday thing. I recognize that there are a lot of you that don't, and I appreciate the fact that you're out there because lots of times I make use of your services. So thank you for being there. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing me today. Thank you for joining me, whether on Rumble, on the podcast, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That's the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. On kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com, on minds.com, minds.com, on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group, primarily there, on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, or wherever else you happen to have caught me today. Subject for today has been cherry picking, and tomorrow we're going to talk about something that came up just as a result of sort of things going on in my life, and that is looking forward. And I want to sort of accentuate and explain how important I believe it to be for folks to do that. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope everything is going well for you today and in general. And hopefully we will see you again on Monday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was created on Sunday, the 24th of April, 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching today's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back tomorrow to check out the next one. Remember, on various platforms, primarily Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub, and the audio podcast, you can subscribe to my content. For the audio podcast, you probably want to use Apple, Google, or Spotify. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. In order to find me on those platforms, you can go to the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub. You can also get to my content on Facebook by finding the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. Minds, minds.com, where you will find me at the Kurt's Religion and Politics group. And kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com as well. You can look there. I post my daily video on various social media sites, really only about 3, Parler, Gab, and Twitter at present. I am at KP Schubert on each of them, and you can find me under them, and you can find the videos under me. You should be able to find my podcasts on Google and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's also on podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcasts with an S. .kpschubert.com. If you're looking for me on various of the podcast sites, you probably want to search Kurt's Religion and Politics, not the Daily Summation. Keep in mind you can subscribe to my content on various places that I put it. All constructive feedback is welcome. You can like, dislike, add a rumble, or give whatever feedback is available on any of the platforms that you can do such things. You can also add a comment on what I put there. Unless you're advertising or doing something that I believe will harm others, I'll leave your comments out there even if I don't agree with or understand them. I will try to let you know I've seen them when possible and may reply if I feel it's reasonable, appropriate, and possible, of course. Thanks again for viewing this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back again for tomorrow's as well.